Hello everyone, my name is Ariba Mahd. This video is meant to explain the everyday lifestyle in the Ottoman Empire, but I'll be focusing on the Turkish region. The bulk of my sources will come from the book The Ottoman Empire, Its Record and Legacy by Wayne S. Vucinic, and Everyday Life in Ottoman Turkey by Rafaela Lewis. For starters, we must understand where the empire was and how its government operated to understand its impact on the subjects within the empire. The Ottoman Empire was established in 1299 by Osman I, and it lasted until the end of World War I, where it was split between the Allied powers. The Ottoman Empire at its peak spanned from the Persian Gulf to the Atlantic Ocean. It originated in modern-day Turkey, then expanded through the Balkan Peninsula all the way to Vienna. It went through the Arabian Peninsula and all the way to what is modern-day Morocco. To really understand the Ottoman political system, I would like to cite Mr. Vucinic. Quote, "The Ottoman political system was perfected during the 15th and 16th centuries. According to Albert H. Leiber, it consisted of two parts, the ruling institution made up of converted Muslims, and the Muslim institution made up of born Muslims." Unquote. Basically, what Leiber was saying is that the entire governmental system during the 15th and 16th centuries was made up of Muslims. The Ottoman government was a theocratic monarchy at the head of which stood a Sultan Caliph who professed to rule according to the principles of Muslim sacred law, Sharia. Many of the ideas upon which the Ottoman monarchy was built came from ancient Arabia, Persia, and Greece. Now that we have a basic understanding of the location and political workings of the Ottoman Empire, we can talk about the culture and religion of the Ottoman Empire, or at its very start. The religion of the Turks was Islam, which they acquired during their progress westwards across Arab lands. In Ottoman Turkey, there was, generally speaking, a complete absence of any hereditary nobility among the subjects of the Sultan. There was no class of society which could be said to be privileged by reason of birth. All Muslim subjects were equal before God, and this proved conditions in which great social mobility was possible. Not only could a man of ability rise to the greatest heights in learned professions, but, except for the whims of a capricious sultan, it was impossible to do so without merit. Even slavery was considered a kind of misfortune of chance, and there was absolutely no feeling that any man or class of man were natural slaves, or that the condition was irreversible. So the general consensus was you were not bound to be a slave for life, and that all Muslim men were equal in the eyes of God, and thus society must go along with the sayings of God. Now that we have discussed the more general lifestyles of the subjects within the empire, let's discuss the clothing. According to Rafaela Lewis, a woman of the working class wore full trousers to the ankle and a smock, and although she had slippers and overshoes for the street, she was usually barefoot in the house. The dresses of women in the middle and upper classes could be extremely elaborate. They too wore full trousers and over them with a fine gauze smock edged with embroidery, with a high neck and sleeves which fell back over the arms, and a close-fitting ankle-length kaftan tied with a girdle. Over this, in cold weather, they wore a loose robe of brocade lined with fur, and a tasseled cap over their soft leather socks. They wore heelless slippers with up-curved points, richly embroidered and decorated, and even the street shoes were ornamented. Men wore little jewelry other than rings, but the women had as much as their menfolk could afford. Rings, earrings, pendants, necklaces, bracelets, jewels in their headdresses, and strings of pearls across the handkerchief, which was draped over their felt caps. Among poorer women, the gold coins with which they decorated their headscarves and their gold earrings and bracelets represented the entire capital wealth of the family. Lewis also said that all children were dearly loved, and in rich homes even spoiled and indulged. They were imbued from the earliest stage with the greatest respect for older people, and in particular for members of their own families. This deference was shown to father, mother, elder brother, and elder sister, and even an adult son would never sit, eat, or smoke in the presence of his father without his permission. Want of respect and disobedience to parents were considered sins equal in gravity to adultery, murder, false witnesses, and desertion in the Holy War. And this importance is given to circulation of a proper attitude towards authority had a stabilizing effect beyond the family for a man's deference to his elders and was readily translatable into loyalty towards an authoritative state. At the age of 5, children, and in particular boys, were taught to perform the ritual ablutions and prayers and learned at their mother's and grandmother's knee the stories and fables of Turkish legend. At about the age of 7, and even earlier if the family could afford a private tutor, the little boys were taken from the harem, that is, away from the exclusive influence of women of the house, although the mother never lost her authority and responsibility for certain aspects of her son's life. If the boy had a lala, private tutor, he would begin his studies at home, and when he had outgrown all of that his lala could teach him, he was put into the care of a hoja, a wise man, who could complete his education. But most children went to school in a simple stone building attached to the mosque. There were usually a large number of these Quran schools in towns, sometimes in an upper-story room over the mosque fountain. In the villages where there were few acclinary buildings, the mosque itself might be used as a schoolroom between the dawn and the mid-morning or noon prayers. All in all, the Ottoman Empire was predominantly a Muslim nation with a mix of Turkish and Arab cultures towards the end of its reign. It was a lack of centralization in culture, and its weak armies were what led to its ultimate downfall. With defeat after defeat, and an inability to hold and defend its lands, it was soon called the sick man of Europe. Modern-day Turkey is still predominantly Turkish, with the influence of Islam still being a staple foundation of the country. If you go there today, you can still see the roots and influence of the Ottoman Empire on modern-day Turkey. Thank you.